Hey, how's everybody doing? I want to thank everybody from helping me reach my first goal on viewers, and the next goal is going to be 25 subscribers. So if you want to help out, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And the topic for this one here is um, there's been some discussion on it, and I'm going to use a clip. It's connected a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about it. Um, but the thing is, Attorney General Garland. And I've got some serious issues with some of what he's doing, and I think it needs to be addressed. I sincerely do. So let's get that queued up.
And let's take on a third and final story. And this one has me frustrated and two people. It has to do with how the Department of Justice is handling the fact that a former president, Donald Trump, has information about how our national security was compromised, and they don't seem all that determined to extract that information from him. You know, early this morning, I put pen to paper. I guess I didn't put pen to paper. I put finger to phone. This coming from a guy who still does everything on dry erase whiteboards and legal pads. So, yeah, I guess I put finger to phone, and I tweeted this morning trying to deal with my own rising frustration. And here's what I said. If any other former president, Carter, Bush, Clinton, Obama, had information that could assist with a national security breach or threat, they would promptly meet with executive branch officials and provide that information. Not Donald Trump. Trump knows precisely who he showed the top secret documents to, who he shared them with, who he gave them to. Yet he continues to conceal that information from the executive branch, leaving our intelligence and law enforcement communities scrambling to try to figure it out and assess the damage. And as far as we know, the executive branch has not demanded a meeting with Trump to confront him and insist he provide information that could help mitigate the national security damage, that could help protect the American people, nor have they subpoenaed Trump to the grand jury to compel him to provide that information, nor have they arrested him, even though they have probable cause plus to do so, as an incremental step to obtaining that information. This inaction makes no sense from a law enforcement perspective or from a national security perspective or from a justice perspective.
Okay, I just want to say that I agree with everything he's saying. It makes sense in normal times. We are not in normal times. I think uh, and here's my opinion on it, on his assessment. And again, I'm telling you, I think he's right on. But as far as anything but the justice perspective, I think they know he will not cooperate. If he tells them anything, he's likely going to lie. There is probably nothing of value they are going to get from Trump. I would say that's probably why they're not doing it. And I would say on the justice one, I'm not sure they're going to prosecute him. Earlier this year, and it was I think it was something. I think it was when you found out that they were bringing seditious conspiracy charges against some of the 3%ers and the Proud Boys. He only did that because the January 6th was about to link the groups that were attacking on January 6th to the White House and the Republican Party. And that's when he seemed to do it. And I think that the reason why they haven't done anything on the justice part, I'm not entirely sure that this attorney general is going to bring charges. I think he's gonna follow the Abu Ghraib model. I think the foot soldiers are gonna get found out. I think they're gonna go, and they are going to jail. I think they're probably gonna find one token woman to blame it on, which is what they did with Abu Ghraib. They got all the low hanging people. They found a female general to throw under the bus, somebody that did not appear to be involved in it. And even though photos came out, and these were not the photos that were supposed to be shared, apparently, these showed people in civilian clothes, and these showed higher ranking military people that were watching it all go on. We not only did not see them prosecuted and go to jail like the foot soldiers did, we didn't even find out who they were. And I think that is the model that Merrick Garland is following, and I think it's disgusting. And I want to show some evidence to support that. So just bear with me. Let me. This is what I want here. I've seen videos recently where he talked about, hey, I was against prosecuting Trump, but now I think they have to. And this is what I was looking for right here.
Question. You came here in the post-Watergate period. President Ford
made a decision to pardon President Nixon because he thought it would be bad for the country to go through a trial of a former president. Would there be a cost to that?
Yeah, I think there is a potential cost to the nation by putting on trial a former president, and that ought to at least be a part of the calculus.
This is what Holder said recently in an interview. And, he was a little all over the place, but this, again, is the mindset of people like him, and I think Garland.
Indicting a former president brings into bear a whole bunch of things. It's going to be unbelievably divisive. It undermines, in a lot of ways, the
continuity that we've had. What you said at the beginning of the show, the notion that an attorney general would look back at a prior administration and think about going after. That's what happens in other republics, in other nations. We don't do that in the United States. We may do.
That is the thing that you have to take into consideration here with Garland, is this is the view of another, I would say, highly qualified attorney general, Holder. He's basically saying, hey, when you look at, he's not saying whether the guy's guilty or not. He's just saying, hey, prosecuting a president, that's just not done in America. And that was his, but I've seen him more recently, and it might have even been later in this video. It was not on the tape that I'm watching on YouTube. But he said now he thinks they do have to indict him, but that's not where he was earlier. That's just not the place he was. And he's explaining it here that, just the idea of prosecuting a president. I've heard prosecutors say this. They go there. I think there's a lot of prosecutors out there. They do not want to be the first one to indict a president. I think AG Garland is in there. But, once they do it, then you'll have nobody having a problem being the second person to prosecute. And I'm going to put this out to the president, Speaker of the House. I'm going to tag them in this when I link it on Twitter. This is something we need to look at. I am not sure that AG Garland has been a true champion of justice as the Attorney General. I don't think he's done that, because what have we looked at? And these are things we know. These are known knowns, as Donald Rumsfeld used to say. When he got in there, he did not go after the Secret Service phones. He did not immediately go after the DHS phones, the military phones. These are all things that may have had evidence of Trump's plotting, planning, and conducing people to overthrow the government. We know that there were members of Trump's staff. And now we know, but this is something he should have been day one. He should have been on. He should have been snapping up these phones of everybody in the executive branch, military, intelligence, Justice Department. And he hasn't done anything on that. In fact, he left them alone for like a year and a half, almost 18 months, until they got destroyed, till we found out now that they've been destroyed. If he would have hit the ground running, snapping up all this evidence, but if If he had snapped it up, then that would be clear indication that he was going to prosecute this if need be. But the fact that he left it there to be destroyed is an indication that he wasn't looking at this as a criminal matter. He was just, like he said, oh, well, we don't prosecute a president and we move on. That is what it shows evidence of to me. And you now look back at what we now know, the known knowns that we now know, is this guy had secret information. Now, maybe they didn't know what it was, but he took things he stole things from the archives that he did not belong having. And I think the Daily Show even made a joke video about them stealing stuff. And, so they were more on top of it than the DOJ was. And for like 18 months, they didn't do nothing. This is another indication that prosecuting the former president for his crimes was not front and center in AG Garland's mind. And it seems like him prosecuting the higher ups is something that he has basically only done when the January 6th committee have shamed him into doing it. They've shamed him into doing it, and that's where it looks like. It always looks like a lot of this stuff, it always looks like he's a day late and a dollar short on this. And now we're seeing reporting that he might not go any further on Trump until after the fucking elections. Trump's not on the ballot. Trump is absolutely not on the ballot. And I just got to say, when you look at what Comey did to Hillary, I think Democrats have to get off their ass and play by the same rules the Republicans have. The Republicans did their Benghazi hearings to smear Hillary, and they did those well after they should have stopped. They used their office to smear her because, again, and I've said this in another video, if you are someone who doesn't realize that a civil war in the Middle East is a dangerous place for Americans, which is what Benghazi was, then you are too stupid to be in law enforcement. You are too stupid to be in the military. You are too stupid to have a job in government. You just are. But they did that. They had something like 15, 16, 17, 18 hearings on that. It was the official department of beating a dead fucking horse. And then you look at Comey. He didn't let anybody know anything about the Russian investigation into Trump, but he let everybody know about Hillary. With that standard that the Republicans have, then, they should be able to drop an indictment on all of the fucking, on the 100 members of Congress that Navarro said were involved in the attempt to take over the government. He said there were 100 members of Congress, some of them in the Senate. You should be able to drop that on them 10 days before the hearing or before the election. If you use the Comey model, if you look at what Republicans have already done to Democrats, and I'm sorry, and I mentioned this to the president in a tweet early in the year, but the thing that gets me is, what's the difference of having Democrats in there who won't prosecute the law or having the Republicans in there that'll break the law? I mean, there's really no difference. We expected change. We expected this. And Garland has sat on his ass refusing to do anything. He'll go after the people that were on the ground, but he hasn't done one meaningful thing to go after the people that were involved. You take a look at that district attorney down in Georgia who probably has less than 1% of the resources that the DOJ has. She is already in court trying to bring Lindsey Graham in for hearings or for a meeting with the grand jury. She's bringing Rudy Giuliani, and she's bringing all these people in that were surrounding Trump. I'm not even sure he's talked to most of them. And this is where we're at. And like, I get it. The January 6th thing, that's going to take time. I understand that. But here's the thing. The Mueller report, that was prosecutable. There was one former federal prosecutor, Joyce Vance. She said that she was pretty sure she could get 7 of them on conviction and sustain them during a appeal. And I think if she had everything Mueller did, she might even go up to where she thought she could get 10 of them. You had that. You had all these inspector general criminal referrals. And these were Trump's inspector generals. Bill Barr sat on them. Bill Barr obstructed justice on those, and he hasn't done squat on that. And that is something that needs to be done. And we've got two attorneys, but again, they've got his attitude. We do not prosecute a former criminal or a former president. Sorry, I said criminal, but we do not prosecute a former president. That is their mindset. So they're not even looking at this shit. But every one of those people that work for him, and he goes into this a little bit later, you know, we're talking the chief of staff, you know, top cabinet members. Every one of them should be gone after. The criminal referrals that came out of the Republican-controlled Senate, those should be gone after. Those should absolutely be gone after. The criminal referrals from the House, they should be gone after. The law states that when they get a criminal referral, they shall or must put it in front of a grand jury. They haven't done it. Why don't they bring in that U.S. attorney that was responsible for doing that and tell her she's in violation of that law? She's going to be sanctioned. I bet you are going to find out that this was stuff that was coming down from the top of the DOJ. There is a whole host of stuff that should have been shovel ready to prosecute on day one. And this attorney general hasn't done it. And I think it's because he has this same mindset that Holder has. And I get it. If you've got a president in there who maybe broke a few laws to keep us safe, yes, that is an absolute thing that needs to be considered. I get that. But this is what I'm getting at. We've got President Biden in there, and I think he would be a great president in normal times. We are not in normal times. You know, the current Republican Party, it is almost like bin Laden and Al Qaeda were a political party, and they basically were running like half our country. We've got Donald Trump is a terrorist leader. Not that much different. Yeah, there's some degrees there, but not that much different than Osama bin Laden. The GOP and other factions that are, you know, oh God, there's some religious factions that are like this, the NRA. All of these are functioning like terrorist cells. They fundraise for them, they propagandize for them. It is like we have a terrorist cult running around in this country, and it needs to be addressed. It absolutely needs to be addressed. And we've got people in there who are not taking it serious fast enough. Biden at least came along to where he started to refer to them as fascists. And that was a big leap. And I know it was probably hard for him. He's a good guy. But this is what we need. We need people who are not fighting the last battle. We don't need people that are still looking at the world like we're dealing with Iran-Contra. The enemies are inside the wall. The enemies have tried to overthrow our capital. And there are people, some of them are actually decent people. They are still supporting them with the vote. They are still supporting them with fundraisers. And we have to be aware of it. We have to step up. And the first thing we can do is to have an attorney general that will uphold the law without fear or favor for the GOP members of the terrorist cult that now run part of our country. They control state houses. They control law enforcement. They have a stranglehold on the courts right now. And this is something that needs to be addressed. Well, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I want to thank everybody for coming in. Thank you for the help. If you want to help out, it does not cost a thing. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so you get notifications for my new videos. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a great day.